The busy summer travel season kicks off this Memorial Day weekend. Joining us with more on what you can expect this holiday weekend, including gas prices, and when you make plans for a summer vacation, is public affairs specialist Brian Nortner of AAA Nebraska. Brian, how is travel looking when we hit the road this Memorial Day weekend? How also does it compare to the numbers with prior years?
The easiest word to answer is busy. That's a great thing to hear. And when I say busy, to get a little more in depth, that means we are traveling at a higher number than last year, a growth of almost 4%, but hitting the numbers that put us near record numbers. And we're just below records that were set back in 2005 for our area and travel numbers of folks hitting the road of 50 miles or more this holiday weekend.
AAA always there to assist when we run into a travel issue. Brian, before we hit the road, what are some ways we can make sure our vehicles are travel ready so we can avoid that emergency call?
The biggest thing, and I know the days are getting closer, today's a busy day for hitting the roads or hitting the air, but getting our vehicles ready to hit the road is probably the biggest thing we can do. That routine maintenance, we can't share that information enough. Getting your oil checked, getting your tires changed, checking your brakes, checking your battery. Batteries don't just die in the wintertime, they die in the summer too. And with the weather we've been having recently, wiper blades are so important for those road trips. So anything you can do to get your car prepped and ready to go is going to be to your advantage to help avoid any unexpected delays.
AAA also there with the Tow-to-Go program this Memorial Day weekend. Brian, how does this work in case someone needs to make that call?
It's as easy as a phone call, and it's if your plans go awry. Obviously, the biggest thing is plan your weekend, plan your celebrations, designate a driver, use the rideshare programs, but we all know that things don't go as planned. Celebrations sometimes get a lot more fun. And if you need a safe ride home, Tow-to-Go is there for you and your vehicle. As I said, it's a phone call. You call 855-2-TOW-TO-GO or 855-286-9246. This is a free and confidential service for AAA members and non-members alike. It begins this evening at 6 p.m. and it runs through Tuesday, the 28th, at 6 a.m. It's a free and confidential ride home for members and non-members alike. As simple as a phone call, 855-2-TOW-TO-GO. That number is 855-286-9246. Remember, it should be utilized as a last resort. Planning ahead is the best piece of advice for getting your celebration time together with friends and family this weekend.
Talking right now with AAA Nebraska's Brian Nortner for more on what you can expect for travel concerns this Memorial Day weekend. Also, when we take a vacation this summer, Brian, some of us may have some grand plans to travel. What are some of those more popular destinations when we travel this summer?
There's international and within the United States places that people are wanting to go if you're looking for those destinations. Domestic travel, Orlando is always a big one. Seattle, New York, and Las Vegas are your top 5. On the international side of things, people are going to Rome, heading up to Canada, London, or Paris are your top 5. When you look at things in our area, in Nebraska and our surrounding region, that Orlando and ocean and beach and cruise route is something that's very popular with folks. Our area is growing more than any other area that AAA conducts these surveys in, with over 7% growth of people who are taking the other forms of travel by hitting those cruise ships or all-inclusive resort. We don't have oceans and beaches here in Nebraska. We have some great places to get away to, but the ocean and those beaches seem to be a good little thing to sway us away from our home state for a while.
We take you to the air this summer, Brian. What is AAA seeing for airfare prices and things that we should keep in mind?
Yeah, for airfare, prices are up a little bit this year. People are wanting to get out more. That's one of the reasons that we may see some prices going up. It's about 2% more than last year, so not a large amount higher than we saw last year, but just a little bit more. The nice thing with that is it's being offset with hotels dropping in price this weekend. We're seeing domestic hotels this holiday weekend about 5% less in price than they were last year about the same time. And car rentals, if you're going out of state, you'll need a car in some situations. Prices for car rentals are 17% cheaper this year than they were last year. So again, some savings on one side of the travel, but the flight's going up a little bit. Hopefully that balances out and maybe saves folks a little bit.
The big question for most of us when we travel is what to expect for gas prices. Brian, how are gas prices looking from AAA this Memorial Day weekend? And can you let us know of any trends that you are seeing for future prices?
Let's take a look at last year to give a comparison. Last year, average around the state for the holiday weekend, as we're moving into it, was $3.38 per gallon. As we sit in Nebraska, the daily average price across the state is $3.35. So we're 3 cents less than we were last year at this time, within a close range. Don't see any surprises coming for the weekend, but always want to talk about as we move into summer and as the travel season continues to grow, that prices may fluctuate. Obviously, the largest cost of fuel is the cost of crude oil, which is still trading under $80 per barrel, which is great. But one factor we want to consider is that hurricane season starts June 1st. And this year we have 2 international wars taking place, where last year we had 1. So those are the areas that we'll watch as summer progresses. But for this weekend, folks can feel very comfortable that they won't see anything surprising as compared to last year.
Thanks, Brian, and have yourself a great Memorial Day weekend.
You do the same, and everybody please focus on being safe this weekend. Whether you're driving, boating, flying, bring your patients along with you. That's the best piece of advice to give.
That's Brian Nortner, Public Affairs Specialist with AAA Nebraska. For more on their 5 locations in Nebraska, you can do a Google search for AAA Nebraska. I'm Paul Perkins on the Rural Radio Network.